Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanjabihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Kidavaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Kidavaradari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanjabihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Kidavaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Kidavaradari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanjabihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kanjabihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Reading from the Spotless Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, the Status Quo, Chapter 27, Understanding Material Nature, text number 9. We're reciting this holy book for the pleasure of the assembled Vaishnavas, for the pleasure of His Holiness Dhanavir Goswami, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Sri Gaurnitai and the previous acharyas. Text 9. Sa anubandhe cha dehe asmin akurvan asad agraham Gyanena drishta tadvena prakrite purushasya cha sanubandhe chadehesmin Text number 9, chapter 27, canto 3. Sanubandhe jadehesmin hakurvana sanagraham gyanena drishta tadvena prakrite purushasya cha sanubandhe jadehesmin hakurvana sanagraham Gyanena drishta tadvena prakrite purushasya cha
Sanubandhe jadehesmin Sanubandhe jadehesmin
Sanubandhe jadehesmin
Kurvan saragraham
Akurvana sadagraham
Jnanena drishtatattvena
Jnanena drishtatattvena
Prakrite purushasya cha
Prakrite purushasya cha
Sanubandhe jadehesmin
Sanubandhe jadehesmin
Akurvan asadhagraham
Akurvana sadagraham
Jnanena drishtatattvena
Jnanena drishtatattvena
Prakrite purushasya cha
Prakrite purushasya cha Sanubandhe jadehesmin Akurvana sadagraham
Akurvana sanagraham
Jnanena drishtatattvena Prakrite purushasya cha
Sanubandhe jadehesmin Akurvan asad agraham Jnanena drishtatattvena Prakrite purushasya cha
Sanubandhe jadehesmin
Sanubandhe jadehesmin
Akurvana sadagraham
Akurvana sadagraham
Jnanena drishtatattvena
Jnanena drishtatattvena
Prakritehi purushasya cha
Prakrite purushasya cha
Sanubandhe jadehesmin
Sanubandhe jadehesmin
Akurvan asad agraham
Akurvan asadagraham
Jnanena drishtatattvena
Jnanena drishtatattvena
Prakrite purushasya cha
Prakrite purushasya cha. Anyone else? Okay, Prabhu. Sanubandhe.
without bodily relationships. Cha and dehe towards the body. Asmin this akurvan not doing. Asat agraham bodily concept of life. Jnanena through knowledge. Drishta having seen. Tatvena the reality. Prakrite of matter. Purushasya of spirit. Cha and translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. One's seeing power should be increased through knowledge of spirit and matter, and one should not unnecessarily identify himself with the body and thus become attracted by bodily relationships. Purport. The conditioned souls are eager to identify with the body and consider that the body is myself, and that anything in relationship with the body or possessions of the body is mine. In Sanskrit, this is called aham mamata, and it is the root cause of all conditional life. A person should see things as the combination of matter and spirit. He should distinguish between the nature of matter and the nature of spirit, and his real identification should be with spirit, not with matter. By this knowledge, one should avoid the false bodily concept of life. Translation again. One's seeing power should be increased through knowledge of spirit and matter, and one should not unnecessarily identify himself with a body and thus become attracted by bodily relationships. Dhanvar Maharaj, he would like to hear your comments on Srimad Bhagavatam, if possible. Your comments and corrections and criticisms are always welcome. So this verse is revolutionary at this stage in Kali Yuga, because everyone's identifying himself according to his body. Because I'm born in this land of America, I think that I'm an American. Someone else thinks he's Chinese or Ethiopian or Indian. These are all conceptions of the body. In the next birth, we'll likely be born in some other place outside of America. So these are false designations. Ahankar, Jai, Shisiga, Gornatai. And others are thinking, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm a Sikh, I'm a Parsi. These are all designations of the body, and they're temporary. These other faiths, they're not Sanatana Dharma, they're temporary designations, and there's no mention of Hindu in any Vedic scripture. Recently, I heard that the head pujari of the Jagannath Mandir in Jagannath Puri, he's started a movement to ban all ISKCON devotees from Jagannath Puri, and to ban all ISKCON devotees not only from Jagannath Puri, but from the state of Orissa. And he's saying that ISKCON devotees should not be allowed to come to Ratha Yatra even. Even Haridas Thakur, he was not allowed inside the Jagannath temple. But he was not unfortunate, because the Lord himself, Jagannath himself, came to see him every day. Every day Lord Chaitanya used to visit Haridas Thakur, and just by seeing the chakra on the top of the temple, that's as good as seeing Jagannath himself. So one should not make such distinctions. Here's a European Vaishnava, or here's an African Vaishnava, or here's an American Vaishnava. Vaishnava is Vaishnava, and they're transcendental to all material designations. So to understand Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit, this is the beginning of knowledge, but it's not the end of knowledge. Vedanta means Veda means knowledge, and Anta means end. So Vedanta means the end of knowledge. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vedanta vid, Vedanta krid, Veda vid, evachaham. I'm the goal of Vedanta, and I'm the goal of the Vedas. So the ultimate end is Krishna. So a little bit of knowledge is dangerous, because if one understands I'm not this body, I'm spirit, soul, Aham Brahmasmi, he thinks I'm equal to Krishna, I'm equal to God. God is Satchidananda, and I'm also Satchidananda. So this is a great offense, thinking that I'm equal to God, and it's due to envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to free ourselves from this false identification. And by realizing I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul, I'm not matter, this is transcendental gyan. But one has to go further and understand that within this body there are two souls, the Atma and Paramatma, and they can never be equal. The Atma is subordinate to the Paramatma, and the Paramatma is an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So the ultimate realization is Bhagavan. And if one has the ultimate realization, he can realize everything else. He can realize Paramatma, he can realize the impersonal Brahman. Lord Chaitanya's sublime philosophy is Achintya Beta Beta Tattva, that the Lord is simultaneously one with and different from everything. The Lord is one with everything by His energy. By His energy, this whole world is created, maintained, and it'll be annihilated by His energy. But He's separate from His energy. Just like this morning, the sun is coming through this temple window, but we cannot say that the sun is in the temple. No, the sun is 93 million miles away, but the sun's energy is coming through the window, and everyone can see the sunshine. We can also see the sun. And the devotee, he sees the sunshine as well as the sun. He sees Krishna's energy as well as Krishna and Paramatma. He sees everything perfectly. So this knowledge is coming by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. It's come to the Western world. And by this knowledge, one can have peace and prosperity. This knowledge should be distributed all over the world. Bhaktaram Jagatapasam Sarvalokam Hesharam Saridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantam Richati. One should have knowledge that, as Bhagavad Prabhu was saying recently, that Krishna is the proprietor of all the planets, all the demigods. Krishna is the only enjoyer of all sacrifices. And Krishna is the Suridam. Surit means a friend, not an ordinary friend, but a never well-wisher. Srila Prabhupada signed the endings to give letters to his disciples as your ever well-wisher. So this is a Surit friend. A Surit friend always considers his friend's welfare. He's not self-interested, but he's interested for the welfare of his friend. This is a very special friend. So in the Sanskrit language, there are different kinds of friends, and Surit is the best friend. So Krishna is the best friend of everyone, all living entities. Not only human beings, but he's the friend of the cows, he's the friend of the land, he's the proprietor of the senses. One other name of Krishna is Govinda. Govinda is the name of Krishna. Krishna means all attractive, and Govinda is the name of Krishna, which includes Krishna's qualities. Go means land, go means senses, and go means cow. So Krishna is one, Vinda means one who gives pleasure. So Krishna gives pleasure to the land, to the senses, and to the cows. So Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, and if we want pleasure at all, we should take it from the reservoir of pleasure. In the material world, there's hardly a drop of pleasure. But we're all hankering after oceans of pleasure, and that ocean of pleasure is available through Krishna, through the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the agency of Guru and the Guru Parampara. Today is also the disappearance day of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. He's one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and he appeared in this world in the year 1503 in Sri Rangam. The biggest temple in the world is in South India. It's surrounded by 7 massive walls, concentric walls. And it's the abode of Sri Ranganath, a four-handed form of Krishna or Vishnu. And this Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he was born in a Brahmin family. His father was Sri Venkata Bhatta, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And as a humble Vaishnava, he requested the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita not to write about him in his book. So in the great book Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gopal Bhatta Swami's name is mentioned only discreetly, because he had no desire for name and fame. Such a great Vaishnava. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes in Anjali, the chapter 11, text 9, Jaya Rupa Sanatana Jiva Raghunath Gopal Jaya Moranath. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And all these Goswamis are my masters. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he considers himself Das Anudas, a servant of all the previous acharyas. This is a symptom of a pure Vaishnava. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami established one of the 7 principal temples in Vrindavan, the Radha Ramana temple. This is a very unique form of the Lord, because Gopal Bhatta Goswami was worshipping a Shalagram Shila, and he desired to worship Krishna in more opulence, with dresses and more ornaments and more flowers. So Krishna manifested himself as this wonderful, exquisitely beautiful deity, Sri Radha Ramana. And this Radha Ramana is a combined form of Radha and Krishna. And he's still being worshipped there in Vrindavan Dham in India. Are there any comments or questions? Okay. Next verse is text 10. Nivritta Buddha Vasantana Duribudhyana Darshanahan Upalabhyat Manatmanam Jaksesai Varkam Atmadrik. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. one should be situated in the transcendental position beyond the stages of material consciousness, and one should be aloof from all other conceptions of life. Thus, realizing freedom from false ego, one should see his own self just as he sees the sun in the sky. Purport. Consciousness acts in 3 stages under the material conception of life. When we are awake, consciousness acts in a particular way. When we are asleep, it acts in a different way. And when we are in deep sleep, consciousness acts in still another way. To become Krishna conscious, one has to become transcendental to these 3 stages of consciousness. Our present consciousness should be freed from all perceptions of life other than consciousness of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Duri Bhartanya Darshanaha, which means that when one attains perfect Krishna consciousness, he does not see anything but Krishna. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that the perfect devotee may see many movable and immovable objects, but in everything he sees that the energy of Krishna is acting. As soon as he remembers the energy of Krishna, he immediately remembers Krishna in his personal form. Therefore, in all his observations, he sees Krishna only. In the Brahma Samhita 538, it is stated that one's eyes are smeared with love of Krishna, Premanjna Churita. He always sees Krishna, outside and inside. This is confirmed here. One should be freed from all other vision, and in that way he is freed from the false egoistic identification and sees himself as the eternal servitor of the Lord. Chakshushe Varkam, as we can see the sun without a doubt, one who is fully developed in Krishna consciousness sees Krishna and his energy. By this vision, one becomes Atmadrik, or self-realized. When the false ego of identifying the body with the self is removed, the actual vision of life is perceivable. The senses, therefore, also become purified. Real service of the Lord begins when the senses are purified. One does not have to stop the activities of the senses, but the false ego of identifying with the body has to be removed. Then the senses automatically become purified, and with the purified senses, one can actually discharge devotional service. Translation again, one should be situated in the transcendental position beyond the stages of material consciousness, and should be aloof from all other conceptions of life. Thus, realizing freedom from false ego, one should see his own self just as he sees the sun in the sky. So this is very important knowledge, and it's essential for the human being. Without this knowledge, one's simply on the animal platform. So, in the greater world in Kali Yuga, everyone is identifying with a body. Someone's thinking I'm male or I'm female, and nowadays there's this transgender movement is becoming popular. Someone is thinking, actually, I'm a male, but I'm trapped in a female body, or I'm a female and I'm trapped in a male body. And sometimes they have medical surgeries to try to change from male to female or female to male. And there's, I heard there's one boy in the United States. He was identifying as a cat, and when he was sick, he told his mother, "Please take me to a veterinarian. I'm a cat." And I heard there was a government official in the state of Washington, he was identifying as a turtle. From our point of view, we think this is ridiculous, but actually identifying with anything temporary is ridiculous, it's false. None of these designations, and ultimately, the ultimate designation is Das, Anudas. I'm the eternal servant of the servant of the servant of the maintainer of the gopis. I'm not even a sannyasi or a brahmachari or vanaprastha or vihasta. These are temporary situations. In the spiritual world, there's no varnashram dharma. Everybody is eternally serving Krishna in their eternal sarup. And the sarup can be realized by this process of bhakti yoga. And Lord Kapila Deva is telling his mother Devahudi that one should see his own self just as one sees the sun in the sky. Everybody can see the sun, and he's confident, he's sure that the sun is there. In the same way, one should be sure that Krishna is there. Krishna can be seen. Primanjana charita bhakti vilochanena sada sadaiva vidreshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya guna sarupam govindamadi purusham tamham bhajami. Brahma Samhita 538, Lord Brahma says that Krishna can be seen when one's eyes are smeared with the ointment of love. So, with material eyes, it's not possible to us see Krishna. So this verse says that we have to purify our senses. By the process of bhakti yoga, we have to purify all our senses, and then we could see things in the right position. And we could see that Krishna's reality, I'm also reality. I'm 1/10,000th part of a tip of a hair in size, very small, so small that no microscope can detect it. I'm so insignificant. So it's not possible for me to claim to be God. I could know my own pains and pleasures of this body, but Krishna, or Krishna in this form as Paramama, he knows everyone's pains and pleasures. Some friend may try to explain their state of mind or how they're feeling or their pains or their pleasures, but as a conditioned soul, I cannot perceive what that person is actually feeling, even though I'm hearing my friend's explanation. But God, or Krishna, he can understand everyone's pains and pleasures. He understands everyone's mental situation. He understands everyone's bodily situation. So by the removal of this false ego and reestablishing in one's original consciousness or Krishna consciousness, all the problems of life are solved just by one stroke. So we have to distribute this philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam, and if this is distributed to all the leaders of the world, all the scientists and philosophers, there's a possibility of peace and prosperity all over the world. If one accepts Krishna as a supreme friend, as a supreme proprietor, everything belongs to Krishna. We're thinking this land belongs to the Americans, but this is a false claim. Everything belongs to God. We didn't create this land. Before the Europeans came, this this land was inhabited by the Native Americans, the Kansas Indians and the Shawnee Indians and the Missouri Indian tribes inhabited this great land, and many millions of years ago, the geologists tell us that this whole state of Missouri was underwater. There was a vast inland sea, and in this marine environment, marine creatures formed this limestone. In Kansas City, we see that most of the buildings have foundations of this very durable stone, limestone. And this limestone is formed in a watery environment. So one should understand that matter is always changing, but spirit is ever existing, it's never changing. So we do not like this change. We don't like when our body's becoming old, when our body's becoming diseased, but we're forced to these conditions because of false identification with this body. So this hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita daily is very important. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. One should hear Srimad Bhagavatam in the spirit of service. We should serve Srimad Bhagavatam. We should offer worship to Srimad Bhagavatam. Because without these books, holy books, there's no possibility of getting instructions and leaving this terrible world of birth and death, disease and old age. Any further comments or questions? Yes.
On the topic of misidentification, Prabhupada was saying that we can start to engage the senses and then we can serve Krishna with purified senses, and then we can start real bhakti. So we say there's, we're waiting, or there's something that has to happen until we start real bhakti, but we're starting now, and that's purifying our senses. So is that also bhakti?
Yes, in Bhakti Yoga, the means and the end are the same. So as soon as one begins his attitude of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's the beginning of bhakti. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says 4 kinds of pious persons surrender unto me: those who are distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are inquisitive, and those who are after knowledge. And all 4 of these types of persons are considered bhaktas. They're considered fortunate, and their motives have to be purified. Those who are after money or those who are distressed are still in the bodily conception of life. They're still on the material platform, but by coming to Krishna, it's sure that eventually every one of them will become purified. Just like the Christians and the Muslims, they also go to the mosque or the temple, or some of them go to the synagogue or the Gurdwara, and they pray to God. So this prayer, offering prayers, vandanam, is a form of bhakti. So they're also engaged in preliminary devotional service, and one day they'll come to the perfect stage because they've begun their attitude of service toward God, even though they're asking God for so many things. Please, God, give me this, give me that. But because they come to God or Krishna, they'll be purified eventually, maybe after several births. Thank you all for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. All glories to His divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It's time for the Sankirtan festival.